Hi, it's McCare with More Prana Gardens. I am in North Texas in Zone 8A. It is September 29th and the air is near boiling. So, let's go take a look at the Apple Tree Guild. Oh, and we have a friend. All right. Oh, she's sharp. Okay. So, Guild. This is our Fuji Guild. This tree came from a nursery last year in, I want to say, March. And this is what we are basing this guild on. This was our first guild to go in. We started the kitchen garden first. This side of it wasn't there yet. We started this side, and right now that is absolutely a basil jungle. That is Riff Raff. She is another one of our garden cats, along with Bobo. My cat lives inside. He's super fluffy. If he comes outside, it takes me a week to get everything out of his fur. So he stays inside. I'll let y'all meet him one day. Right now he's trying to paw the door down and he jumps and it's really cute. Anyhow, Apple Tree Guild. So when you have a guild, you want different kind of plants that support your tree and your earth in different ways. So here we have a Thai basil, a dark opal basil, and a holy basil. And the holy basil has been cut back a lot, but I think, come back here you. Can you see why we have these? Basil flowers attract bees, and it's kind of early. There's not very many of them right now. And somehow the ones that get on the holy basil always have little red saddlebags. And then we have a Bergarten sage down here. And he always gets spider mites in the summer, so he's just recovering from those. And I think that next year I'm not going to put the Thai so close, or any basil quite so close to the Bergarten, so he doesn't get so shaded out. He got really shaded out this year. I like keeping the holy basil here on the corner. I think I'm going to keep that in the future. We have a big space of open ground. There was a nice coreopsis there. It grew really big and pretty, and then it got coreopsis beetles, and I let that happen because we have other coreopsis in the yard. We are going to be cover cropping all of the bare wood chip that you see in this garden. Flump. I'll be putting down, like, the cover crop that I use has field peas, hairy vetch, ryegrass. Oh, and crimson clover. I was like, there's something else that's really beautiful in there. All of those are nitrogen fixers. They're going to put nitrogen on their roots that they collected out of the air, and then when I cut those down, they'll release them into the soil, and then all of the soil biology will eat them, and then the plants can have nitrogen. Nitrogen grows leaves, so it's a good thing. Speaking of nitrogen fixer, if you need a really cool nitrogen fixer shirt, go check out Eric Sider's channel and follow his link for shirts, and he's got them on there. He's got other cool permaculture shirts too. To the garden. So this is a different holy basil. The one that was over there, that one smells like bubblegum. It also tastes like bubblegum. That is medicine and a pollinator. It doesn't have to, I mean, you can cook with it, but it tastes like bubblegum for real. This one tastes more like clove. Can you smell that? Here, get a good sniff. Yeah, I know. All right. So with holy basil, I forget a lot of its medicinal properties at the moment, but I do smoke this with mullein to help with lung health. I have awful lungs. So this is one of my friends. This is a Roselle. She's not blooming yet, but the other 3 Roselle bushes I have just started blooming this week, so I imagine it will. And that is annual, so it'll be coming out. The holy basils can be perennial. This is a very sad zinnia that needs to be deadheaded. This got the spider mites as well. I've been treating it with neem, and you can see kind of their damage here. And they've gotten a lot of my plants. They get a whole lot of plants in North Texas, probably in most of Texas. They like heat and humidity together. And that is just makes spider mites really happy. And we get bunches of that. All right, you guys know I have been bad this summer about picking my okra. This is well, I forgot which variety this is. Maybe I'll tell you later. Maybe I'll put it in the notes if I look it up. But they can get, like this pod is probably, yeah, this pod's still edible. So this kind can get bigger and still be edible, and it's fine. And by the way, these are some of my favorite flowers. They're so beautiful. And look at that veining. Isn't that just gorgeous? This is a Jing orange, and this is, hey you, this is Bobo. This is because we have rabbit problems. And I kept coming out here and finding my my okras eaten down to like a nub. So this cage is keeping the rabbits out, and this is going to be my first Jing orange okra. Y'all, this rabbit thing. So last year I grew, I think it ended up being 13 okra plants. And I had a little more okra than I could use, and I was able to put a bunch in the freezer, and it was awesome. So this year I was like, I'm going to grow more. And I'm going to have okra to share and sell and for myself and to freeze and to feed to the chickens and the worms and everything. Well, no. I started 45 okra seedlings. 45. I had 15 of each variety. And I would plant out like 6 at a time. And they'd do okay because I was trying to stagger them. And I'd come out a couple of days later and they'd all be eaten down to the ground. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'd plant a couple of more, come out a couple of days later, gone. So I thought it was slugs. Well, after a while, I managed to get some bigger, and then they started getting eaten again, and we saw a rabbit in the backyard. So I had 45 starts, and I think I have ended up with less than 10 plants by the time it's all said and done. So not the happy okra year I was hoping for, but you know, we do what we can. We just try. That is one reason in permaculture that we plan for that. So the ethics of permaculture are care of earth, care of people, and return of the surplus to the first two. So returning that surplus means that I grow enough for birds, bugs, other people, the compost, the chickens, the worms, right? Well, this time, surplus went to the rabbits. What do you do? Alrighty, moving on. The final okra over here is this very sad Clemson spineless. Now, this one is a bit big for Clemson spineless. It's, I don't know if you could hear it, that crack. This helicopter's not helping you hear it. But yeah, if they make that like hard woody sound, then they're too late. This plant is not happy. I had an okra in this spot last year and it wasn't happy either. So probably not going to do that again. Right here for next year. Over here, we have some lettuces that are going to seed, and I am just about to knock them down. I grew them here just for that. And in fact, I'll show you what we do. I'm just going to take that off, and then all of this is seed. And I want lettuce to grow here this fall, and so I'm just going to let those go down there, and then I'm even going to just break that off. All right. We have Comfrey in here. And then I just put in a new one on that side of the tree. I started out, go show us where that is, Bo. You were close, good girl. Yeah, so just behind Bo's hips there is where I put the new one. So Comfrey, this is a tiny leaf. This plant makes really, really, really deep tap roots. It goes down there, it gets nutrients, it gets minerals, it pulls them up to the leaves. And then we can take these leaves. I have been sticking them in planting holes so that the soil biology can eat them. They can activate your compost. Something's crawling on my toe. My chickens like to eat them. I can chop and drop with them. And I can make comfrey tea with them, which is not something that I drink. This is something that I feed to the plants. I can use it as a foliar spray, or I can water with it. Also, you can use this for healing. It can heal wounds and bones. My friend that I live with, she tweaked her knee and it got real puffy. And so we took a bunch of these and broke them up and mashed them and made a little poultice and wrapped her knee, and she kept that on for a few hours and the swelling went down and it started feeling better like that night. If you do use it on humans, you want to be aware that it has these little hairs on it, and they are pokey. So when I say chop and drop, what I mean is we take off some of it and we throw it on the ground. That is literally what we do with it. And as that breaks down, and as the insects and the soil microbiology come to eat that, they're going to take all those nutrients down, and those nutrients are going to become available to the plants that grow around it. We have a little yarrow here. It got planted in the same hole as the comfrey before the comfrey came up, when you couldn't tell it was there. So, you know, it's struggling a little bit, but it'll be okay. And if it's not, it's all right. We have more. Over here, I'm going to stand in my path. We have an oregano here. This one's trying to get rooted and spread. We have two more throughout the gardens, and they're just getting established. This will spread quite a bit. I'm not worried about where it's going to go. And then we come up to the dry side. So this is an Agastache or Agastache. I'm not sure. I also heard Agastache. This is in the mint family. It makes these really pretty flowers, which you can't see because it does not like high heat, and our heat just broke. It does not like to be wet once it's established, but in the first year it needs to be a little damper, so I put it up here on the dry side. That is my Spanish lavender. It makes the normal flowers, and then it gets these little flags on top. And it is a dark purple. I'm going to be putting an English lavender here where this chocolate mint is. So these two are here to protect this, because the harshest summer sun comes in from that way in the afternoons, straight down here. So it's going to block it a little bit. And then these are going to help when I water them. Their water will run off and just keep this a little bit damp. And even though this has been having a hard time, you can see how sickly it looks and how it's real leggy. But if you check down in there, it's starting to get some new growth. So very, very soon, I'm going to come through and cut it down. A little bee that must have come from the holy basil, because he had the little red saddlebags. He just came and he landed on the phone for a second, right next to the lens. I wish y'all could have seen him. He was precious. All right. So these two, like I said, they're just temporary. And this is a chocolate mint, and this is a spearmint. I'm not putting these in the ground. These will run all over and take over. Later, I will be putting some non-aggressive mints in the ground. They'll just have to be cut back every couple of years, or dug out every couple of years, and that'll be okay. So as this guild evolves, it's going to get bigger. Shortly here, I'm going to come in and I'm going to plant garlic all around the perimeter where this brick perimeter is. And you want garlic or daffodils to be planted under your drip line So that's outside of my drip line, but that's okay. Those are going to create a grass barrier to keep the grass from growing back in. As these annuals come out, I'm going to start making this the dry side. So let's see if I can take you way down here. All right, so you are level, and you see how it slopes this way? So this is going to be my dry side, the higher side, and then I'm going to put things that like water down there. That way, when I do water or when it rains, it's going to run off of this and my lavender and my Agastache and whatever else I put up here to stay drier won't get as watered as the stuff that I put down there. I'll also make the wood chip thicker down there so that it holds more water and keeps the soil cooler. I'm going to walk through. I don't mind walking through my gardens too much, but I don't do it all the time. This was a mullein. Oh my goodness, those are stubborn. So, let's see if I can get that to focus better. Hey, one-handed, I just focused that with my nose, so if it didn't go well, I'm sorry. But, this is the seed pods for mullein, and there can be like 10,000 seeds in a plant. It's kind of crazy, so I don't want to drop these all over the ground in the grass. So I can drop those pods. And I had one mullein over here that I already took out. But what I'm going to do with the rest of this stalk is I'm going to cut it into pieces. And I'll use my clippers because you just saw how hard it is to break. But about that big. And then that tree line back there, I'm going to put some around the edge of it. I'm going to put some along the back of the fence. I'm going to drop it in a couple of beds. And mullein, if you're not familiar with it, it can grow roadside. You can forage for it. Don't get it from right next to the road if you do forage. Trying to find a spot where the sun is friendly. It's going in and out of clouds. So if you do forage for your mullein, don't get it from the roadside. It could be contaminated by, like, road stuff. Go back a little bit or grow it yourself. I got two that somebody had, like theirs had popped, and that's what I started with last year, and then they've just like reseeded and gone on. The leaves of the mullein are soft and furry, and you can use them for lung health. Like I said when I showed you the holy basil, I smoke it. It's mucilaginous, which is the gel that's in okra, that goo, the gooey stuff. That stuff is healing the mucous membranes. The inside of your lung is a mucous membrane. So mullein is healing for your lungs. It has some other healing properties in the leaves. The flowers you can use, you soak them in oil for at least a month, and you strain the flowers out, and then you mix that oil with a garlic oil, and you use that for eardrops. You can do like a maintenance. You can just do like a drop in each ear every day and just kind of give it a couple of minutes. Or you can put, a decent amount in there if you need to clean your ear. That can help. And then if you do get an ear infection, you can warm that up to body temperature, and you can fill your ear and lay down, with the full ear up. Leave it for minutes, up to 30. I've fallen asleep like that, and it's okay. And then just, use a cotton ball or a shirt sleeve, whatever you got, to kind of soak it when you come out of there. It really, really helps if you have allergies and your ears get clogged. It helps with that. If you are prone to ear infections, it helps with that. And it's kind of neat that, like, if you have respiratory problems and they happen to be from allergies, you might get problems up here too. So it kind of does the whole thing. But the other benefit of it is that it's a nitrogen fixer. Nitrogen fixers. So it's going to go grab nitrogen from the air. Grab nitrogen from the air, and it's going to take it down, and it's going to put it in its roots, and it's going to make nodules on the roots. When it dies, it's dead, so bugs are eating those, and they're making more nitrogen for my whole bed. So like I said, I'm going to cut that one down soon. I'm going to seed some of it back in here and move it around, but I definitely want to always have some in this garden. We use it a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. When I do smoke that with holy basil, if I mix in lavender, I'm asleep. You can also make like a smudge stick with the leaves. I have some mixed with sage that I burn in my room. You can breathe them in that way. If you want to use it for kids, obviously you don't want them like smoking it, so you can make those smudge sticks and burn it like that for children, or you can make a tea. Same warning as comfrey, it's got fuzzy leaves, so if you make a tea with it, you want to strain. You don't want to like put the leaves straight in the water. You want to strain it out. Don't use a tea ball. Use like a paper filter, something that's going to catch those little hairs. I think for the winter we're going to put in lots of nasturtiums and lots of calendula. So nasturtium is an edible. It makes an edible leaf, an edible flower, an edible seed. And you can soak the seeds and make like capers. They have a texture and flavor similar to capers. The flowers and the leaves are spicy. And they make a nice ground cover. They're another nitrogen fixer. So they're going to go around. The calendula is going to go around for medicine. As we move into spring next year, I'm going to start putting in some like salvia and an English lavender, some other perennial flowers that are going to support pollination for the tree. And its friend is down there, and I'll give you a tour of the Golden Delicious Guild someday soon. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for checking out my apple guilds, my Fuji Apple Guild. And we will see you soon. See if there's anything else I need to tell you right now. I think we're good. So if you would, please pick a thumb, hit the subscribe bar, ring the bell if you want to know when I put up new videos. And until then, later y'all.